Hello and welcome back to the podcast, We Are Selling. My name's Lee Woodward, your coach and host, and the author of the Complete Salesperson course. Today's program is brought to you by the Agency Portal, Australia's first listed to settled execution platform. This incredible digital platform allows us to use agency sign, agency AML, the sale funding process, commission funder, agency supplier pay, and agency settlements. Agency settlements is the Pixar partner that allows the real estate digital transaction to exist. Let's get started with today's podcast. Hello and welcome back to the podcast, We Are Selling. Today, the cameras are on. We have a completely different podcast for you. As a couple of weeks ago, I added a button that you could click, it records your voice and sends it through to me for any questions that you may have. However, no one clicked the button. And then today, I have my podcast person all lined up, and Blake is joining us from Greenpoint, from Giddo's Real Estate. Blake, welcome aboard.
Thanks for having me. Very excited.
Now, I've been chasing your interview for a while.
Yep.
And then you decided to flip the whole thing on me.
I did, yeah.
And I'm going to allow you to explain your request.
Yeah, I mean, look, my thinking behind that is with everything that's going on at the moment, you know, not just legislation, but all the things that are happening out there in Australia, globally, I really feel that a lot of your listeners would love to hear a bit from you in relation to, you know, what's going on out there in the marketplace and what do you see is going to happen in the next few years, even particularly around tech as well, AI being a huge thing at the moment. Also, I mean, you've met some of the top 1%ers in the country and even globally in real estate. You've interviewed, you know, top leaders in, you know, real estate leaders in this space as well. So I really feel that there'll be a lot of knowledge there that I think your listeners would love to get from you and, yeah, just change it up a bit today.
Yeah, it's an interesting journey, isn't it? When you get to work for big companies, be it onboarding, training, director of sales, you see a lot. Everything's out there, but different to what you think. And then people assume something's one way, and it's very rare that it's that way. And no one thing happens in isolation. I look at all the assignments I've been on, and there's something magical about all of them, but then you can bring it all together, and there's your answer.
Absolutely. And I think you would see a lot of patterns in what are these top performers that they do. And I'm very interested to get a bit of knowledge around those patterns. So, I mean, you know, leading into that, of, I guess, some of the best that you've interviewed and you've met over the years, what would you consider to be a few of their traits that have, I guess, kept them to be consistent?
Well, let's do it. But if we're going to do it, you're going to have to take it from the top yourself down the camera. You're the host of We Are Selling, and I'll be your guest. Go for it.
Lee, welcome to the program. This is the hot topics. Sorry, what do you want me to say?
We are selling.
We are selling.
Now, your original Hot Topics listener, but let me do the...
Yes.
Hey, Blake, great to be here. Thanks for having me on the program.
All right. Blake Stretton, I'm your host. Lee, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much.
No worries. What would be your, you know, top tips from the 1%ers that you've met across the country? What would be some of the real nuggets of knowledge that you can pass on to some of your listeners today?
If you look at anyone who's a top performing agent, it's actually what they don't do and what they don't get distracted by that keeps them focused. Quite often in implementation, which people struggle with, anyone can go to a course to get the information, but the actual activation of something is difficult. Now, Blake, you're actually one of my best activators, that you can learn the skills, but you've got tech and technique, which is very unusual.
Yeah.
Hence, you were on my program when it was going to be on today of how you've implemented. But a lot of people struggle with implementation, and they also overcomplicate it. Whereas if you look at our greats, they strip it back. They don't use too much tech at all or no tech, but they are very, very good at words and very, very good at connections. So put them in that moment in the lounge room, on the phone. They're very present, and they make the person feel who they're speaking to. They are the only house in the world they're going to be representing. They don't talk about the 50 others and thousands they've done. They have that connection to the person.
Okay. I mean, it's very true. I mean, you listen to, you know, James Tossenden, for example, talk. I mean, he's very basic. He very much just has a sheet of paper. He just works off that, makes his prospecting calls. He's not distracted by emails, and it's very true. I think you're very right in the sense that it is just stripping back the basics and not getting distracted. So would you say that would be one of the big things? What else would be?
It is. If we look at James Tossman, and I've interviewed James a few times and spoken at conferences with James, James is match fit. And what I mean by that is some people hit the phones and they want to get off and they haven't even got warmed up yet, they haven't got started.
Yeah.
James expects and enjoys sitting there for a couple of hours at a time. And you're right, he'll work off, he's got his own little way of marking up the records, nothing bounces or emails or pops, he's focused.
Yeah.
So I think the ability to concentrate is a good one. A lot of people are so looking forward to any distraction they can versus locking down, I can do this for a couple of hours and enjoy it. But getting match fit on the phone is very important.
Staying disciplined.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Another question that I had for you was a bit about the market correction, what's been happening a lot lately. Pretty poor clearance rates out there with the auctions. We've had, interest rates going up, the wonderful news that we received recently around capital gains and what's happening there. So there's definitely been a bit of a correction in the market. What do you think would probably be a few of the things that the agent should really be focusing on this marketplace that we're in now, where it's a bit slower?
The transition had to happen because it was too hot anyway. And for a lot of people that listen to this program, if you've been in real estate a long period of time, it was normal. A property would be on the market for 6 to 12 months. That was normal real estate.
Correct.
And then we had an explosion, acceleration, amplified marketing came in, and we saw a great change in multimedia acceleration to real estate versus core flu, ads, weeks, paper. So that's all good. This transition is a good time for the good agents. So one thing I do love about the market we're going into, people are going to say, Blake, I don't care what I have to pay you, just get it sold. And they're going to have to invest in the agent. Whereas a lot of the agents who cut their fees, they just park it. And when someone cuts their fee so low, they actually think they're being competitive that the other person didn't get it and they did. But that's not what happens. And there's no shortcuts to a great price, as you know. So running the price improvement programs, I know yourself, you use the Webbooks product, which is an information memorandum. What you do on a house is what someone does on a $200 million shopping centre. You're using an information memorandum. So I think standards are going to be a big part of it. And you've got to be incredibly good with buyer management now because the purchasing community will only buy from people they feel safe with. Getting your information memorandum. I feel safe. I feel better about this house.
Right, transparency.
So the standards are kicking in. I love it.
Yeah. No, I agree completely. I think transparency is going to be a big thing in this marketplace. And I agree with you completely. Dealing with the purchasers and building relationships with them, creating empathy with them is going to be really important. I also feel vendor management is going to be quite interesting as well. What tips would you give to agents around this time with trying to keep their clients positive in this space?
This is a big topic, and we covered this on the podcast a few times of late, and it was Christian Bartley actually brought this up, and I really loved it. You've got to move from the likeable agent to the advising agent. My advice is, you've got to know how to be beautifully cold, which is hard for a lot of people. And what I mean by that is, an agent can be, but they're thinking this and that. What's the right thing by the property? And then using that beautiful terminology, duty of care. I have a duty of care to let you know this is where it is. This is the facts and evidence. Because in a market like now, it's moving so quick that if you leave it too long, they'll hemorrhage money. Yet you could have got them out earlier. And I think agents have really got to take responsibility for that. If you didn't give them, if you would have given them the right advice earlier, they wouldn't have lost $50,000. That's what's just happened.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said earlier to you, I started in this industry 15 years ago. I started selling in roughly middle of 2012. And so I started in a market where, as you said before, 60, 90 days longer is just normal. It's just a part of it. I'm actually, again, same as what you said before, I'm actually quite excited for this market because it will really differentiate the agents that are willing to work that little bit harder and are willing to do those little bit extras for their clients versus the agents that just want to relax and have a bit more of a cushy lifestyle. So it'd be very interesting to see how it goes, but I'm actually quite excited to what's coming next. Next question I had for you around the conversations, and you touched on it as just with regards to making sure that you're, I guess, being, transparent and not being too nice to them, I suppose. would there be any dialogue or scripts or anything that you can pass on to the listeners here today around what would be some of those conversations?
Definitely.
Yeah.
There was a great line that came out of a podcast 2 weeks ago with Tristan Rowland, who took out #1 real estate agent in the country last night, which was a massive moment for us. We've worked with Tristan his entire career. But there's an example. He's in a marketplace where everyone's 1.52%. He's above 3%, most times 3.75%. And he actually said, Lee, my fee is like a bouncer at a nightclub of the good owners. The bad ones can't get in. The crazies can't get, they won't invest. But he's a team-based business like yourself.
Yep. But
the conversations are important that you've got to be neutral. So using our own internal reports sometimes is a little bit, we manufactured it versus the REA reports. This is the saves. This is how many people came on it. Keeping it facts and evidence.
Yep.
One thing I did a lot with my owners was the progress meetings were pre-booked. So, for example, I'd say, Blake, with the pricing of your property, and you'd be going, I'm not changing it. I'd say this, Blake, with the pricing of your property, I want to leave it where it is.
Yep.
Our next progress meeting is on the 20th, and on that date, our next price would be, if we haven't got a result before then. But next, improve the price are the right words and dialogues. And then my favourite's this one. It's called the 3 prices. So, Blake, you can be my vendor, and we're in the setup to sell meeting that no one ever did, which is sort of just come back into fashion.
Have to be getting back in.
And my everything email has got smoke coming out of it at the moment, and I've never seen an email used so much in my life as the everything email.
Yeah, I can imagine.
In the set to sell meeting, I'd sit there with you and say, Blake, firstly, I'm glad you've appointed me at this time in a market, and I must ask you, why, knowing everything you know about the marketplace right now, why have you chosen to come onto the market?
We didn't discuss this earlier, but, we're going through a separation.
Sorry to hear that. Happens a lot. We're here to support you.
Thank you. And so, we have to make this sort of now. We can't hold on to it for much longer.
Okay. So my job is to get you out of this with as much profit as I can and not break the golden rule of real estate. Now, Blake, the golden rule of real estate is this. The longer your property is on the market, the less people expect to pay. And that is why I'm using amplified marketing up front to get that compression that we don't follow a market down, which is what I'm seeing everywhere. I've got 3 properties I've got to take over this week, all because they broke the golden rule of real estate. We'll do what we can, but it would have been a lot easier to get them out up front. So each week, I need to have your consent to be frank with you about the pricing results of the market. And there's 3 prices we're going to need to monitor. The first one is the buyer engagement level. For every home in this country, be it 200,000 or 200 million, there's a price where people are interested and not. And I need to find that level. And I'll be asking everyone, is there a price you'd pay for the property? I just want to hear that number. The second number is yours. You're going to have an expectation each week in the marketplace that you're thinking it's this, and then we'll hear the feedback and response from the market, and your own expectations will go through transition. I know mine did when I was on the market with my own property. But the third number is where I need your consent. If you were to say to me, Lee, what do you think what's going to pull it up? Where do you think it's going to be sold? I want to be able to tell you where I think the number is each week. And it will move based upon who's inspecting for what reason. And that's not an offer. It's just what I think is going to pull it up based on all my years of experience. But are you okay for me to deliver that number to you or not talk to you about it?
It'd be hard for them to say no, wouldn't it? I mean, it's great dialogue. It's perfect. I mean, again, in this market, you have to have those set to sell meetings. And I think if you're a listener now, you'd just want to be playing that on repeat and listening to that over and over. I know I will be. And
it's interesting. And I love that you wanted to take this approach to the interview. It used to be scripts and dialogues. Then we learnt words and concepts, whereas now it's a technique. So the 3 prices is a technique. Live mode, sell mode.
Yep.
When we're presenting, it's a technique. Fees 1, 2, 3, it's a technique. Today, be it the complete salesperson or anything I'm doing, I just make people become ninjas one snack at a time. And the snacks are what people are. Okay, that's what I say on that one. But it's a lot easier to do that than remember all this scripts and dialogues.
Exactly what to say. I mean, I agree with that completely. I think you probably remember that video that was done many, many years ago with Phil Harris.
Yes.
And I mean, that was such a great video. I've still got it, by the way. I found it.
The listing presentation with Phil Harris. And he's listening right now. Hello, Phil.
How you feel? And I would have had to have played that 100 times because there was such gold in that, and I think that's really, I think as an agent now, we're moving back into that space of having to learn some of those older techniques that we did know back in the early phase, but you just hadn't had to know in the last few recent years. So I think now more than ever, the complete salesperson course, you should be attending that.
I agree with that. Now, it's interesting. You've been using AI very good.
Yep.
What are you doing with AI?
What aren't I doing with AI? I mean, there's so many applications you can use it for. I use it for personal. I use it for business. I use it for client communication. I use it for everything. I mean, when I start a listing campaign now with a client, I've got a folder designated for each client, each property. Pretty well every email, every bit of correspondence goes into that. And so it allows me to track if I've got a property that's been on the market for a couple of months. It allows me to track some of those early conversations and those, earlier discussions from back then. So I think things like AI is just an amazing tool. I've been playing around with building code with it and doing some pretty cool things there as well. I think for anyone that hasn't learnt it, I think it's worth understanding a bit about it. I'm interested to hear what your thoughts are on that, because I know it can be a distraction like many other things with technology.
Yeah.
However, I also feel that it's going to have a place in a few years. Where do you think it's going to go in the next couple of years with AI, particularly around real estate?
Well, firstly, I started really bad with AI. I was cranky. To me, it was a covers band that you could get it to play a song that you didn't write.
Yeah.
But I got over that.
Yeah.
My breakthrough on AI, because with AI you can go out to the world or you can come into yourself. So when I loaded the book Claiming Doors, which took me 30 years of my life to consolidate from, I've done 6 books, but Claiming Doors was the big grand finale moment. But I can load Claiming Doors and say, give me a checklist for Claiming Doors, chapter 1.
Yep.
Because I'm the artist, it's my work versus I don't know any of those things, but it looks good.
Yep.
So I think AI Blake becomes really important. I think AI you becomes important. These audios, you can just grab the transcription, throw it into AI and say, give me a checklist what I should do based on what Lee Wood had said about vendor management. And boom, there it is.
Yep.
That's powerful, very powerful.
Well, like I spoke to you about before starting this today, is the last few podcasts that you did, I grabbed the transcripts and tried to get ahead of some of the questions that you might have been asking me today. So try to be a little bit cheeky there. But
Prepared.
Just get prepared. Again, there's some really, really incredible things you can do with it. Do you feel that it's going to take over the space of real estate? What are your thoughts on that?
I don't. It's interesting. AI is moving so fast that no one has a technological advantage anymore. I've had some people in the last couple of weeks show me their full software platforms that they've built. And I was at Realtor for 3 years. We had 80 coders. And I just see what someone's done in their bedroom and go, look at that. Like, it is insane.
It's amazing, yeah.
And they're ready to launch. I'm now fascinated by that.
Yeah.
So there's that side to it. When you come down to it, words are so important. And AI is here with us now and people in our age group, but the people we're representing are still here. And they're still going to throw you the, Blake, you work in Greenpoint, mum and dad town, some waterfronts, normal houses, but people trust you to know AI.
Yes.
And they're still throwing you a set of keys to say, we're going to leave it to you. So I think the consumer wants you up to date with AI, not so much themselves. There's that nice balance between tech and technique. So, and everyone's saying the same thing on this, AI won't take your job. Someone using AI better than you will take your job. But I know even in the speaking world, I was at a conference and this lady was saying, you don't have to speak to camera anymore. You just type it in, does a video of your face and talks. Or you could speak to camera. There's a skill. And learning to speak to camera is a skill.
Absolutely.
I know later on this year I've got the complete public speaking course, and the amount of people that have booked in who are terrified of speaking because they want to be a better communicator. So it's a balance, but I absolutely love the time it's saving us in what we do. Yeah,
it's definitely a time-saving tool, but you don't want to rely on it too much, too heavily.
Or be locked in the room, prompting, and you're not communicating to Mavis who wants to put a property on the market.
Correct, yeah. I mean, I think that's where we're very fortunate in our industry, is that it is very much a people business. I started my first jobs were in hospitality, and so I found that to be a really good transition coming into real estate, because you're dealing with people. yes, we're selling houses, but we're dealing with people. And I'm not too worried about it, but was very curious to hear your thoughts on it.
So tell me, how did you become number one in Greenpoint?
It just really comes down to consistency. I was very big on my training and learning as much as I possibly can. And so there's a lot of agents that I listen to grab information from over the years, mostly from your hot topics. From that, I've just built up a client base, really, of gold clients, I call them, people that, will repeat and referrals. And that's really mostly how I get the business. You kind of threw me a question. I'm more an interview.
So I'm used to doing that.
It's like going from open homes to...
What you've done, though, just for our listener out there, is you are a multimedia modern agent who happens to sell real estate. You've done a lot of work in video. You've got your digital IMs going. Like, your digital inspections are international world class. It's from that structure of no stone left unturned, way more than any website's going to tell you. How have you been able to communicate that through to the community?
So one of the things that and I've been doing it for years, and luckily our CRM system allows us to share essentially the buyer feedback with that client. So they can log on at any time and they can see all the people that are coming through the property, all the phone calls, emails, text messages, everything. And I put a lot of notes in there on every single buyer that comes through and what they say about the property. So to me, client communication has always been a huge thing. The more that they know about what's going on with their property, their campaign, the much easier it is for us to be able to, to make adjustments or do things that we need to do, because they can see it firsthand what people are saying. So, I've been very big on that. But, to answer your previous question, I mean, the biggest thing that I've found that's worked really well for me in the area that I'm working in Greenpoint, it's just that I've always tried to be honest and upfront with people and give them the right advice. I find that people obviously resonate very well to that. And so over the years, I've just built many, many, many gold clients that have, again, referred me to, one person to the next.
You build a little team around you now. What have you got in the structure of your team?
So it's me and Harrison, and, we've got some great admin at our office as well. But Harrison and I, we work really well. Harrison's been in it for almost a year, and he's a very good operator. He's an absolute sponge, and he just gets it. He's come from a really lovely family. He's got a really nice personality. People warm to him straight away as well, and he's got an incredibly good work ethic. So we're both working really well together. So it's just me and Harrison. So we obviously have our weekly meetings. We know what goals it is that we need to achieve. We communicate quite a lot, so we're on the same page.
What's a good week of numbers for you? What do you focus on?
I try and aim for 5 for 5 is the goal. Not for a week, for a month, I should say. So, one listing, one sale. Yeah, and we seem to hit our targets quite well. I mean, every year that I've written down the goals and what it is that I want to achieve, it happens. This year we've been aiming to try and hit for around 50 sales. Next year we're gonna try and do a bit more than that. Next financial year, I should say.
Very good.
Yeah.
Final questions. My question for you and then your question for me.
Okay, yeah.
What are you passionate about for the future that you can see yourself progressing in that's going to take you to 100 deals?
Yeah, so that again, the goal is that I'd like to build Harrison to obviously be an agent of his own, to go out to do his own thing, working as an EBU. Not dissimilar to what you see with Matt Steinway, Trevor Hamilton and his team, and building a bigger unit around us. That's our goal.
Yep.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah.
And your question of me?
Okay, so this is the last question I have for you, and it's pretty well exactly the same question. So of all the years in real estate for you, which has been 30 years now, what excites you?
I'm more excited than ever than the young agents coming through. I'm doing a lot of work which I call bench to field. I have a lot of 20 to 25-year-olds that I'm looking after. I do custom training programs for Lisa Novak. I just did hers. It's called Unforgettable, and it is unforgettable. But grabbing Lisa's knowledge, transferring that into my training on demand, Todd digital learning, passing that on to them and seeing them grow has just been phenomenal. This year, the first complete salesperson course was in Brisbane, and I was just taken back by how many brilliant young females were in the audience, the most I've ever seen.
That's awesome.
Who want to be a career-based agent. I'm really excited about that.
Yeah, that's very good. Well, Lee, thank you for joining the program.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's a very unusual We Are Selling. Blake Stretton, DJ co-host today, asking the questions. Thank you, everyone, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Thanks, Lee.